listening to Keith Price's Curtain Call. This is Keith Price for Keith Price's Curtain Call, and we are back here at Samuel French, in the offices of Samuel French, talking to a few of the winners of the most recent Samuel French's Off-Broadway Play Festival, and I am sitting here now talking to one of the winners. How fierce is that? One of the winners about to get his work published with Samuel French. Korde Tuttle, Korde with a K, and it's not Korde with an accent on the E, because that's what I thought it was, but Korde Tuttle, who has written several pieces, but this particular play that was featured in this festival is called Clarity. And in this piece, he is bringing an experience not only as an African-American, as a gay man in love, as a gay man talking about getting married. He has brought in a voice that we don't often get to see in the world of theater, much less get celebrated and honored by winning contests. So, Korde, how you doing? Listen, Korde, I did it again. His name is Korde, but I want to call him Korde because the play is that fierce. How you doing?
I'm good, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
This is amazing. So, tell me, what was it like when you, first of all, had your piece selected out of the 1,600 plays that were submitted to be seen? Like, how exciting was that for you?
It was exhilarating. I was really excited because I've only been in New York for going on my third year. So I'm very much still getting to know folks and discovering, kind of the nuances of my own artistic process and voice. And I actually submitted a play last year that didn't even make it through the first round. So I was really excited because I thought, I made it. through the first round, so that was exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I have to tell you that, again, I was talking to one of the other winners previously, and I had said to her that when I went to the marathon of all of the plays that made it to the finals, there were 6 that were selected, and of the 6, 4 of them I predicted were going to be winners, and yours was one of them. Really? And I said that if yours wasn't one of them, then I was going to have to show out afterwards because I felt like, what a powerful piece. Like, just, first of all, starting off calling people the N-word was kind of like, oh. I was like, this queen is bold, whoever he is on this stage. How did you come about working out that piece and being able to present it in such a short, tight format? Like, where did all of that come from? Where did it come from?
That's a great question.
Because you don't give me that vibe.
People are often surprised when they meet me after reading my work or reading my work and then meeting me. They're like, wait, how do I reconcile these two things?
Because you don't come across as, Miss Honey Queen sitting there with your legs crossed calling people niggas and carrying on. Right. But but neither do I. Some instances, shh. When you catch me off mic, I can't promise I'm not saying it, but I do know that in that format, you literally call attention to everything in that first 2 minutes or 3 minutes of that piece. Was that intentional?
It was intentional, yes. I'm interested in not just kind of one-person shows and monologues. Yeah. I'm interested in playing with structure, and for me, it's fun to do that within a very confined, short space because it means I have to be really intentional. It means economy of language. It means if there are certain themes that I want to bring up and want them to land like I hope they do. Right. Every single sentence, every breath, everything it's a very kind of rigorous, meticulous kind of process.
Man, I have to say, I was very moved by the piece, primarily because as a person of color, as a gay person of color, it was like, it was intense. Like, it jumped out at me because I've never seen anything be that bold, that direct. Like, I think about the plays from the 60s, it was Baraka and those guys who were doing intense black theater. They were doing black theater back in the day. And it was interesting because in that period, nothing like that, like what you created in that show, would have ever made it through there, because I don't think that they would have even made room for that. I don't think so. And to see it now with these eyes and this energy, it's like, good for you for... it's like you reclaimed something that was always there that people never had the opportunity to express, which I have to say thank you for that, because this is a good thing. This is a great thing. How does that make you feel when you're thinking about your next piece?
First of all, thank you. That's incredibly encouraging. And also, too, there were folks who opened that door and made that possible for me as well. Mm-hmm. And so I want to acknowledge that. Yeah. I think sometimes what is kind of anxiety-inducing, nerve-wracking, is the fact that sometimes based on the the experience I want to write about or create, either there not being room for it, people being kind of deaf to it, or based on the cultural specificity, people like wanting to kind of back up and feel like this is too transgressive, or this is too black, too queer, too too XYZ. So I feel encouraged moving forward because there's something. Anytime I'm writing, I like practicing really intentional empathy is important to me, as is really creating truthfully under these imaginary circumstances, which can be a scary thing. Right. And sometimes too, I worry about certain characters' perspectives being, coming from my brain, coming from my own kind of collected consciousness, or whatever. Yeah. What does that ask of me? Like, what does that mean in terms of like reputation or how I move through the world or producibility? And but I do my best not to worry about those things, because if I'm not creating truthfully, it's not going to hit home.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, Korde Tuttle, Korde with a K, no accent on the E, that you really did, at least, not having read any of your other works, certainly piqued my curiosity of like, what else does this guy have going on underneath? Because especially now that I've met you and I'm thinking back to that piece and how intense and how strong that piece was. And then I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, that is not, who is this person? Because I never would have pictured something so bold and so intense and so tight to walk away with that kind of impact on me that quickly. You know what I mean? And I guess because I certainly could relate a lot to the character and some of the struggle, but it was interesting to see the dynamic between him as a black man dealing with the fact that not only his relationship is with a white man and how that affected him, then the idea of the way that they play together also having a lot of context on top of that. And then, of course, where he was getting married, if you include all of the history of America on top of that, I was like, damn. Now, you're Canadian, right?
Well, I was born in Canada. Yeah, okay. I was born in Manitoba. But I'm Southern bred, though. Okay. So my mother's from South Carolina. My dad is from North Carolina. Okay. I grew up in the Carolinas mostly. Okay. So
the Canadian part of explains your demeanor, because that's the soft, cool side of you. Because most Canadians I meet are always like that. But what you experienced and what you talked about in that piece, now that I know that more about you, completely makes sense in terms of the thought process of that character. Because I'm from Texas, it's like I was just like, ooh, my God, like I don't know how I would respond to that particular event as well. It's like, so for you, how much of you was in that character?
I think there are certain, I think my perspective, there are like certain, I think the things to me, like I see myself in there and feel myself in there when I talk about how like we can't talk about, for me, I'll speak from the I perspective, I can't talk about love without talking about family, and I can't talk about love without talking about sex, and I can't talk about sex without talking about who I'm engaging in sex with, and then what are the implications of who that is. Or to me, everything is very much connected, so I think the interconnectedness of it is me. But I wrote it specifically for Reggie White, he is such a brilliant open conduit for it. He's amazing. And also Stevie Walker-Webb, who directed it, brilliant. So, yeah.
It's the perfect monologue for someone who wants to go into a room for an audition and blow the socks off of people, because they would not know how to handle all of that. And it's like, and so if you get that on the first jump, imagine what you could shade down to fit for whatever role it is that you want that person to play. Right. Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
I find it really exciting, because you have tapped into something even within me of thinking about a particular story that I'd like to tell, but like I'm intimidated because I'm like, damn, I don't know if I can make it pop like that in 10 minutes. It's sort of like, because I think that that's really where it would lay well if you can make it work. Yes. Like, do you do longer pieces? Do you have longer pieces that you've written and produced? Have you, and the differences between doing both of them? Like, which do you enjoy a little bit more than the other? I mean, because you love doing them both, I know.
I do.
But what brings you the best kind of, not instant, ooh, live in New York, baby. What brings you that kind of intense joy as an artist? Which one really gets you?
You know, honestly, I don't know that I can choose one over the other because my process for both, they're very different. So like with short plays, to me, it becomes more of a puzzle because I think, okay, what's achievable in these 10 minutes or these 15 minutes or these 20 minutes? And so I like to think about like a single line of action. And so because I kind of want to, because I know I've seen short pieces where because it's 10 minutes or so short, people want to like do everything in these 10 minutes. But I like to think about what's achievable in these 10 minutes.
Right.
And then what can I like hang on this one line of action? Right. And so it becomes more of a puzzle that way. And the larger pieces or longer pieces, full lengths, I get to breathe a little bit more. I get to really feel out beats and feel out like how to like weave this thing together. And both bring me immense joy, but just in very different ways.
I love that. Korde Tuttle with me here on The Curtain Call. I have to say, though, you know, for me, I'm glad to see you in the present in this 3D fashion of being able to talk to you, and I'm glad to know that the 2D part of you, as far as the writing is concerned, is that powerful. Like, it means now that when I go back and look at more stuff that you've done, which I will, it's going to be very interesting to now put together the piece. Like, I've met the playwright, and now let me look at these different pieces of the playwright's soul, because this comes from your soul, doesn't it?
Oh, it absolutely does. Yeah, it does.
Oh, my God. Well, Korde, thank you so much. I have to say, I hope that when this anthology comes out, that you come back and we have a chance to have like a full-on, because we're basically doing this in a 10-minute bite, but I think that there's a lot more that you and I can talk about in terms of the work that you do and how you do it that I think people would be very interested in hearing about. At least I know some of some of my listeners that I do have a personal connection to would love to know that sense of expression, because you know, my friends in North Carolina, y'all are not ready for this piece. Y'all, ooh, Lord have mercy. Oh my God, the piece is called Clarity. And when it comes out, when the anthology comes out, I want to make sure that you guys know all about this, because you must see this. Well, you must read this piece. And for you brave actors out there, this is one of those things that I'm telling you, when you read this off the page, it's going to light a fire under you as an artist. And I think that, you know, if you're brave enough to do what this guy has written, then you are probably going to be a hell of an actor. I think you'll be a hell of an actor. So, wow. Man, Korde, thank you so much. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So we are going to come back. I have a few more winners that I'm going to talk to, and it is going to be on. So sit back, enjoy, and we will be back.